Yeah, boy, it's been a while since I talked about Digimon. And with Toei being horrible about content ID for anyone reviewing their crap due to their abuse of copyright claims, thus making me disinterested about talking about their content any further, I didn't expect to be doing this. However, a Patreon request from Select08 has made me reconsider, and touch on something from Digimon I haven't really talked much about. The 5th Digimon anime series, Digimon Savers, that aired in 2006, which was imported as Digimon Data Squad in 2007. And hey, as I am way overdue about talking about the video game tie-in to Sabers, it felt like a good idea to pair the two up, and we'll be getting to that next. Data Squad in and of itself is kind of polarizing. Either people love it and say it gives Tamers a run for its money as the best full anime, since Digimon Tri is a movie series that over time rubbed people more and more the wrong way the longer it went on because it's Toei, or people tend to dislike it, though nowhere near as much as Zero Two, Cross Wars, or Apple Monsters. At the worst, the dislike it camp rates it about even with Frontier, so 4th or 5th for the franchise at worst instead of 2nd or 1st? Personally, I'm in the meh camp, as from what I was able to watch, it felt like it was backtreading what prior entries had done, while also trying to move forward in the evolution of the franchise's storytelling. And it had some of the idiosyncrasies seen of Toei's worst works. Not helped that I didn't like the dub. Disney was in charge of it, and despite many staff members working on its localization being the same as those who worked on the earlier 4 series imports, Disney clearly did their best to kill it with how obnoxious that localization was. Though, again, nowhere in the league of how badly Cross Wars was done. I was in college at this point, and we didn't get any Disney stations in the dorms, so while I might have tried to give it a better chance had it been in a medium I could access, as it is, I never was able to watch it back then. And thus, this is when I backed out of being an active Digimon fan, simply playing the games I've been showcasing over the last several years. What I did see, I didn't care for because of the dub, as it's not a good dub, and I never found a complete fan sub to zip through. Hell, the dub music was a case of it being irritating and unpleasant to listen to for me. So I freely admit that my meh stance on it is being me not wanting to negatively stigmatize a series just because its dub made the entirety of it that was available unpleasant. As I'm not against the show, and I admit I could have been missing out all this time on something awesome due to me not liking the dub, and that makes me not being able to find a sub of it all the more disappointing. Though I do know try to be more mature with its story to match how its original fans and the target demographic for it were aging, since it also starred teenagers as its main protagonists. The oldest protagonists we've had for Digimon anime, in fact. And as a result, it had a lot of fan service as part of it for teen viewers. Also, Rise Greymon is seriously badass. He is not my favorite Argomon evolution, that honor goes to Guy Owlmon, but he's a hell of a lot better of a cyborg dragon man than the classic Metal Greymon. And I really did like the burst mode system simply because of the lore expansion it added to Digimon's general propensity for 11th hour superpower mode changes and the symbolism of surpassing your limits, by giving an actual rationale and catch-all describer for it. But that backtracking can be mostly seen in how it began the recycling of X Evolution story points with the Royal Knights and Yggdrasil for its own purposes in its final arc as, well, they'd done that story already, along with it aping a lot of things the prior series had already done. And I have the same criticism of Cyber Sleuth and Tri and their ripping off of that movie. We've done the bit with the Royal Knights already. I understand they're popular Digimon in the franchise, and not all of them have been given focus in the limelight, so I can get their continued presence as prominent characters. But Toei? Bandai? We are really tired of you retreading the same old ground of a story with them, just with different protagonists slot into the same roles and the same ultimate story arc. We should not see so much of the same copy-paste storytelling from them. And at this point, it seems like you do it because you're incapable of creating a new entry or new expansive lore for that franchise that isn't aping the work of either the Dot franchise's writer Kazunori Ito, since he wrote X Evolution, or alternatively the work of Tamer's writer Chiaki J. Konaka. Oh, and speaking of, why is Digimon Adventure getting yet another movie after Tri ended up sucking, when you could finally give one to, I don't know, Tamers, Frontier, or Savers? And honestly, I don't outright hate the protagonists, though Masaru, aka Marcus in the dub, does have a tendency to annoy me, if simply for being the idiotic meathead Toei has vastly overused as lead characters even though shows lacking them tend to do better financially and with audiences. But at least he is a very mild case where he's honestly just passionate about fighting and does at times show he has a brain. And from what I've been told, he actually does undergo character development to become a more wise and balanced person. Though do not bring up the scene where he punches to death 3 Venom Myotismon to me from Cross Wars. I despise that scene. I have been told by Sabers fans that such an act is ridiculously over the top and nowhere within the capabilities for Masaru. I'll fight the Digimon myself, Daimon, to even do. But that's the idiocy of Digimon Cross Wars for you, or in specific its third arc. So yeah, I hold no negative stigma towards Digimon Sabers. I encourage you all to check it out, but it wasn't for me because of the dub. Maybe with a better dub where the dub used the original background score I could have gotten into it, but at this time I just haven't bothered. Though I did put in some research time to learn about the series in preparation for reviewing Sabers' tie-in game. And fortunately Sir X's request, me talking about Sabers' movie, is more than possible as, while I don't have subs of the series, fan subs of this movie are more in circulation as it was never imported. Sadly though, it was a victim of Toei's tendency to double bill films for their series with another to conserve runtime and production work. Sabers' movie, Activate Burst Mode, just being a 21-minute featurette no longer than a normal episode of the series. With it being double billed with Futariwa, Precure, Splash Star, the movie, Tic Tac Crisis hanging by a thin thread. For those not familiar with the Precure franchise, despite Saban bastardizing it into the Glitter Force series, they're basically Toei taking Sailor Moon style of Henshin Hero Magical Girl and turning it into a running annual franchise that's now considered the third series, part of Toei's superhero time block alongside Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. That has nothing to do with what we're discussing today, but there are those who would ask if I didn't. Though despite its relative Western obscurity, the Precure franchise has got higher ratings than Dragon Ball Super at the time both series were airing, and had better animated fights. I am seriously not kidding on this. We open on Sabers' incarnation of Argomon staring at the trapped state of his partner, the series protagonist Masaru Daimon. The entire region they're in is infested with roots and cocoons, a lot of them entrapping the populace of the real world. Yeah, if you've not seen Sabers, well, outside of being in my boat, one of the things that interested people a lot is, like Tamers, it primarily took the perspective of seeing the effects of Digimon's attacks on the real world for a fair stretch of the story. That's not to say that they didn't go to the digital world, as that's where they spent most of the latter half of the series, but the impact of such powerful beasts were felt a bit more tangibly than the existential and personal horrors Tamers framed such as. And this is one such instance of everything going foobar. As it's not just one small region, it's the entire city of Tokyo, with it being just Agumon and his companions Gaomon and Lalamon left to try and fight back. Agumon, who has relied so immensely on Masaru as his guide on what to do and how to act, is at a loss, with Gaomon having to remind him that waiting for them to wake up won't solve anything, even if they can't gain their true powers with them out of action. They have to do something. With that something revealing itself to be rescuing a humanoid girl that hasn't been cocooned, and is instead being chased by a gang of rogue Goblimon and an Ogremon. Many against one. Aim high, dudes. Sure enough, the trio rescue her and fend off the larger Digimon's attacks with some very impressive skills for rookie-level Digimon, with this all being really well animated as it's expected from Digimon's movies. That joke is too easy. And hey, despite saying he's useless without Masaru, Agumon solos the ogre. Man, if that is weak, you have to wonder what qualifies for strong around here. Wait, right, the Samers cast regularly took on what's normally sectioned off as video game final bosses. These guys, incidentally, are all the minions of the big boss of the movie that's done all of this. Argomon. Argomon is complicated. My experiences with said Digimon mainly coming from his appearances in the Digimon World Dusk and Dawn games, and was the first Digimon to break the tier classification system. Usually when a Digimon evolves, like a Pokemon, it changes its name to match the change in relative species and tiered level. The rookie Agumon changing into the champion Greymon, then the ultimate Metal Greymon, and so on. Each has a different name to correspond to a new form, or even sometimes data alignment when it comes to the viral black variants of existing Digimon. Not so much Argomon, as both its ultimate form and its mega form are both referred to as just Argomon. Even when Digimon had a mode change into a stronger state, it's referred to even slightly differently and usually just doesn't change level classification. It happens with the Super Mega Digimon, but those are usually just a shorthand for Mega Digimon that have broken the standard power rating system of Mega level Digimon. We don't usually see that happen with Ultimate levels. Hell, the only one that does, which I can name off the top of my head, is Lucemon. And it's only because the franchise keeps reclassifying what evolution level each of Lucemon's forms are, depending on the media he shows up in. TLDR, there's an exception to every absolute classification rule in this franchise if you look for long enough, and Argomon for many is what is cited as getting the ball rolling on that. Anyways, this girl, named Rhythm, is key to stopping Argomon, as she's not actually a human, but a data entity having taken the form of one, something not seen in the series since the Genii or Analog Man. Then again, there's a multitude of human-formed Digimon, the Sistermon coming to mind with this, but she doesn't seem to have any of the powers or fighting capability normally seen of a human-formed Digimon, especially with her breaking the naming trend.
Arigato, Kaeru-san. Kaeru janai tte.
Heh, in-joke. Agumon's voice actor Taiki Matsuo voiced the frog disc animal in Kamura Hibiki's Hyper Battle video the previous year. Regardless, they're chased by more of Agumon's minions, necessitating they escape onto the water to get away from them, allowing her to elaborate on their enemy and their failure to stop Argomon from spreading his vines to put everyone to sleep, as he raises castle from the depths of the digital world. But now they know where to go because of Rhythm, the short film cutting straight to the chase and charging the castle stronghold, even with the forces of Goblin Digimon protecting it. Dude, just toss some money in their way and they'll fight themselves. That's how I deal with Horde in PvP. Nah, they split the party to get to him, Galmon and Lalamon taking on their own enemies to allow Rhythm and Agumon up to the top, with Agumon encouraging Rhythm to keep moving as Agumon knows his teammates' abilities and trusts them to be more than strong enough to do their part. Gee, it's almost as if splitting the party to deal with multiple threats is a sound, proven, and good plan for a small group of heroes to undertake to save the day, and isn't detracting to the characters to actually pull off as long as the majority of the involved gets their own fight in. Now, why would I possibly be calling out such as unfair, imbecilic criticism to a series making use of such, I wonder? So they reach Argomon, and dear God, I've seen enough anime to know where this is going. As all the vines? Yeah, it has to be from a creature that makes use of tentacle hentai. Why do I have the feeling that Aki Izayoi would enjoy summoning this thing in attack mode? Unfortunately, due to how little time this movie has to it, Saver's writer Ryota Yamaguchi had no chance to make this character in any way complex nor sophisticated, so just stuck on Argomon the cliche of the environmental terrorist, despite, well, Argomon is a Digimon. What does he care in any way, shape, or form about humans defile their own damn planet which will lead to their own destruction because conservatives are idiots? Despite what he says, the human world isn't having an impact on the existence of the digital world. In nearly every Digimon series, it is in fact the other way around, where the digital world's existence and connection impacts the real world far more like is being showcased, with the effect the real world has on the digital world being pretty much negligible or intangible, and blown out of proportion. Hell, if he cared so much about the environment, why does he have all of his minions being wild Digimon that are at his beck and call? Shouldn't all his minions also be plant Digimon to fit his view as plants as superior organisms? Hell, it's surprising he didn't minionize humans that have immense affinity for plant life in the undergrowth and wait a second. This is the plot to Danny Phantom Urban Jungle! No, seriously, if you've not seen that episode, this is basically it. A plant-themed entity gets a burr up its butt about humans not respecting nature, decides to take over the town of Amity Park with its plant manipulation powers, infests and brainwashes the lead girl of the series, Sam, who has a thing for plants as the green-thumbed goth trope, and the only one that survives the attack is the protagonist, who has special ghost powers of their own, and in the midst of the fight to stop it, develops a new power specially made to combat it in the rematch. And I am still bitter that show got cancelled! Actually, you know what kind of makes this funny? Taiki Matsuo, Agumon's voice actor I mentioned earlier, voiced Undergrowth in Danny Phantom's Japanese dub. I am not even kidding. Of course, Agumon refutes that humans have a negative effect on the digital world by, quite badly, relaying the positives of the partnership he's had with Masaru, threatening to kick his ass, but, as said before, Agumon's an Ultimate and Mega Class Digimon, and Agumon's still a rookie level. And even a strong rookie isn't much of a match here, even with one that spits fire. Plant's natural enemy. When Rhythm tries to talk Argomon down, she likewise ends up attacked, but as both characters are so poorly fleshed out, I have no idea why that would have worked. But this makes Argomon so mad he breaks Argomon's vines, surprising the pair with his brave spirit learned from Masaru, and the sudden strength of his attacks on top, which set Argomon on fire and causes his vines to wilt as they lose their connection to their host. In his resultant anger, it causes Argomon to take his mega form to escape the blaze, and he just starts blowing crap up. Dude, take the hint. They're just not that into you. And furthermore, not everyone likes BDSM. But with the plants wilting...
どんな時も最後の最後まで諦めずに戦う。それが男の生きる道なんじゃないのか?
Digisoul Punch! Oh, son of a bitch! Fans of Sabers have told me for years he doesn't routinely punch out Mega Level Digimon.
さあ立てアグモン。本当の戦いはこれからだぜ。デジソウルチャンスオーバードライブ
Hi there, this is Shine Greymon. He is a certified badass, alongside being ridiculously huge in this incarnation of him, as normally in the other media he's about the size of a War Greymon. But even that thing isn't enough. Shine Grey is still getting his ass kicked, thus it's up to Masaru to take things even further.
人間は変われるんだ。自分の過ちに気づいて生まれ変わることができる。それが進化だ!
And with Rhythm giving a bit of a power boost, Shine Grey breaks his limits and enters his burst mode, harnessing the fire of the sun of his spirit to burn this plant virus to death. Argomon's return to being an egg, taken back by Rhythm to hopefully redeem himself in the next life, as everything returns to normal, Rhythm hoping that she and Argomon will meet again in the future.
リズムちゃん。さよなら、アグモン。大好き。
This movie is good for what it is. I mean, for something that's just a glorified extra episode of the series, I wasn't expecting much. After all, this is the second shortest of the Digimon movies, only beaten out by the 20-minute original Digimon adventure film. So to have something that's basically a filler episode in length, you can't do that much, especially in a series that was more known for serialization than a lot of others of its ilk. The animation is good, the characterization for the regular cast is great with them stuck in a situation they're not used to, and yet holding their own. There's something of an arc for Argomon as part of it, and all of them get their moments even if Galmon and Lalamon are left out of the final brawl. But that's honestly expected of the tropes of an action series like this and the power team dynamic. It's been stated though that like a few of the other Digimon movies, it's not canon to the rest of Sabers as, well, how the Sabers team unlocked the power of Burst Mode was a story arc into and of itself, done in the tail end of Sabers' story, and was an ongoing plot in the series at the time this movie debuted in theaters. As I've said, I'm not that intimately familiar with Sabers' ongoing storyline, but as it has been explained to me, the reason it's not considered a canon movie, or rather, canon episode since it is just episode length, is the series suffers from continuity lockout near its tail end, where the team first gain access to their megaforms and burst mode. So there is logically no place for it to come in and interrupt things in order for it to be a canon part of the story. Thus, like often can happen with Toei's forms and power-ups in a series they make the film for, it was a specialized, gimmicky promotion of that special power in advance of its normal use in series. Hell, Toei in the 2000s did that all the time for every single Kamen Rider's final form, where they showed up in their tie-in non-canon movie first, before then being seeded back into the normal series. And thanks Sanity for everyone trying to keep track of that they stopped doing that. Outside of the movies they sucked and then later retconned out. Despite that though, I did get a good feel towards the impact Masaru's had in helping to raise and inspire Agumon to be the most badass incarnation of Agumon we've ever had. And this movie has the unique honor, with the exception of solely X Evolution, to be primarily based around the traits of the Digimon in the human-Digimon partner pair, and not have them play second string or left in the background for the humans they are partnered with, as usually happens with the franchise that makes the super powerful Digis we care as much about not do much in the story, with obvious exception to Tamers, which did a lot to make the partners feel balanced in the give and take, and Frontier, where there were no partners, so they could place more emphasis on character development and interpersonal dynamics so as to not crowd out the cast as it happened with Adventure, Zero Two, Cross Wars, and Apple Monsters. Honestly, while Argomon here isn't anything to write home about, and yeah, Danny Phantom Urban Jungle certainly did such an antagonist far better in relation to such a story, I honestly feel this reflects the series it is part of well from what little experience I have had with it. It makes me once again regret I still haven't gotten a chance to sit through this 12-year-old entry in this franchise because I can't stand its dub and can't find the damn subs. So thank you to Surect for requesting I take a look at this, as I legitimately did enjoy it, and it gives us a good lead-in at the series that inevitably spawned as part of it the final PlayStation 2 Digimon game I have to cover. I really should have taken a look at this game years ago, and next week we're finally putting it to rest. See you then.